You realize sometimes that you commit the crime of filling in the blanks unintentionally. Now, for example, okay, like me asking you guys for help about Tommaso's car, right, being towed or not, because when you think about it, it would just be good, solid police work, right? Last person, last vehicle. Then I actually tried to find the story about it, right? And that's when I made my plea in the last video to help me out, that I Googled it and I got nothing. But you guys came through for me. A lot of people remembered Ashley Banfield saying it, right? And someone else remembered that they saw it on a stream, or they think they saw it on a stream. And so I Googled it again. Absolutely nothing. So since so many people said Ashley Banfield said it, we went directly to the source. Now I'm going to tell you guys, our minds might still be playing tricks on us, okay? So I found the thumbnail and it looked like we were on the money, okay? Stunning new twist. Savannah's sister's car seized. However, I knew we were kind of in trouble already for the simple fact that we know that Ashley, she's pretty current when she uploads her videos, okay? I look at the date, February 3rd, 2026, 2 whole days after Nancy goes missing. So what in the world is going on in this investigation for that first 30 hours? The car stays with Annie and Tommaso. But hey, why not, right? The house was released back to them just a day later, okay? Nothing to see here, folks. It was released so soon after the fact that Nancy's blood almost still felt fresh. It looked fresh when Brian Enton went to see it, okay? Now, someone in the comments said that a blood splatter analysis said the patterns actually seemed consistent with Nancy coughing up blood. And you know what? I agree. There is a little bit of haze right there. Depending on how you feel about Ashley Banfield's sources, this towing of Tommaso's car, which there is no footage of, by the way. Now, for the people that may have recalled seeing it be towed, make sure it's not the one of Nancy's blue Subaru being towed. We're looking for a completely different car and maybe leaving Annie's house altogether for it to be credible. But please, if you know you saw it, try to find it and I will share it in the next video, as proof. As I was saying, okay, the info about the car towing comes from this same video.
The confirmation from my law enforcement sources that there was blood inside the house as well, and that they have towed Annie Guthrie's car.
Seemingly from the same source that said that there was blood inside the house. The Nest cameras were all smashed, that the back door was left wide open, and that Tommaso Cioni is being looked at as a possible person of interest. So if any of these things proves not to be true, then all the dominoes will fall. We are praying for you, Ashley, that your source is legit. Then we're told that Nancy has a group of church friends that like to gather around and watch virtual sermons instead of actually going to church on Sunday, which is something that they did when it was COVID, when everything was locked down, and they found they liked it better. It was more convenient, right? And they continued to do it even after the world opened back up. So by 11 a.m., this group started to worry about Nancy, and so it said that they contacted a family member. Why all the secrecy and mystery? We don't know. What's the harm in telling us who called and who were these family members? So what are we going to do? We're just going to assume that the family that is contacted is Annie, which is another bit of information that we probably just subconsciously plugged in ourselves, okay? So by 12:15, the same family member calls the police. This comment by Red Star Plumbing should have us all asking a very basic question. So Red Star writes, I watched something yesterday and they posed a great question. How did Annie and Tommaso enter Nancy's house the next day? And that's the main point I'd like to address. I did not think about this. Something that simple just slipped my mind. Now, in the comment, it also asks, well, since there was blood on the front porch, we know they didn't go through that front door, which I will say isn't true, okay? A loved one would be in dread, if there was blood on the porch, yes. And the missing door camera is alarming, okay? But that doesn't mean that Annie, doesn't still reach in her purse and grab her spare key to let herself in. I might argue that seeing the blood hasten the need to get in. And when you think about it, if Nancy is leaving that door against her will, the previous night, is the kidnapper, taking time to lock the door behind him anyways? Probably not, especially if he's gonna leave that back door wide open. The 911 call is unfortunately incomplete.
Nancy, a white female, 84 years of age, 5'2" medium build, product blue, ring after 2200 hours as of yesterday. Nancy has high blood pressure, pacemaker, and cardiac issues.
I'm compelled to add that this dispatcher sounds like she's just run a marathon. We also never get to hear who made the call and how they sounded when they made the call. Now, if you've followed me from past videos, one of the things that I like to point out, now maybe ad nauseum, is that the culprit, if they can, will always have somebody else call the police because it's just really hard to pretend to be sad. All the sorrow, they always overdo it by crying too much. One example would be the Joanna Hunter case, okay? Her abusive husband had his church member call the police. And I think we all know John Ramsey, right? He had Patsy call the police. And in the little-known case of Robert Wone, the two roommates that found his body had their other roommate call the police. So I will say, keep an ear out for when we get this full audio from Pima County. So at this point in the timeline, the police are called and they arrive within short order. This would then lead us to assume that they treat Tommaso as a suspect, as a person of interest, and pretty much take that vehicle away immediately, right? They should have impounded Nancy's vehicle as well because they're going to do it, a week or so down the line? If Tommaso is guilty, then he's already lying like a rug, as they say. What if he was driving Nancy's car the whole time and called Annie after to pick him up, which is a whole nother can of worms that we're not going to get into now. I will say, I still don't like the Annie Guthrie is involved angle that much. She might be artsy, dark, maybe the shy one of the group that doesn't want to talk to media. So if I had to choose between the two, then yeah, it would be the last guy to see her and drop her off, of course. Now, if a husband did do something like this, okay, I think a woman's intuition might catch those awkward signs of a suspicious husband, okay? They've been together for 20 years. If you've lived with anybody for 20 years, you pick up things about their behavior. So I'll go as far as to say, if it's concerning Annie, she might, take a glance at Tommaso at times, and maybe she does wonder just a little bit. It's all we know is that something stinks to high heaven in Pima County. My name is Monks. Now go protect the ones that you love and love the ones that protect you.